All right, so we're going to look at some of uh, the important reports in corporate governance. All right, so if we'll start with first the Cadbury report from the United Kingdom in 1992. Okay, so this report was created in response to several high-profile corporate failures in the United Kingdom. Okay, it established the modern framework for how companies should be governed. Okay, so basically, this is the important point you need to take out. Okay, the framework of how companies should be governed. Okay, because prior to this report, obviously companies were having problems within the board. Right. So these are some of the key provisions: comply or explain. Companies are not required to follow every rule strictly. However, if they choose not to comply with a provision, they must provide a clear and reasonable explanation to their shareholders. Okay. So yes, colleagues. Okay. If there is a rule in the company that says you're not supposed to buy shares from another company, from a competitor, right? Then the board of directors said that year they said, okay, it's necessary that if we buy shares from this company, probably there are going to be benefits. The board can buy those shares, but they'll have to explain to the people why they didn't comply with the rule of not buying shares from a rival company. That's what comply or explain is about, right? If you don't comply with the rule and you decide to do something, you should be able to justify it. Okay. And if it's reasonable, well and good. If by you not complying with the rules and you try to do something and your explanation, you try to explain and you get terrible results, you're getting fired. Okay. So this is only beneficial if what you have done brings benefits to the company. Okay. You didn't follow a certain rule of the company, but you have brought your choice. What you decided to do is bringing benefits, more money, more returns, all right, bigger customer base. Any questions on compliant or explain? Okay, separation of roles. The role of the chairman, the one who leads the board, and the chief executive officer who runs the business must be held by separate individuals. Okay. Yes. So, colleagues, if you're the you're the executive director and you're also the chairman of the board, don't you think that no one can challenge you? It would be hard to challenge you. Okay. You're the executive director and you're also the chairman of the board. Very bad. You can start abusing your authority. You start thinking now you're the dictator of the company. Okay. This prevents any single person from holding unchecked authority. Right. Yes. So the executive director and the chairman basically have to be different people. Okay. Yes, it has happened before. Yes. And probably there was and a scandal came out of that. So you after this class you can just check situations where the same person was a executive director and also the chairman of the board. Okay. Obviously they felt they were unstoppable and they could do anything. Board composition. Okay. The board must include at least three non-executive directors. Okay, these individuals are not employed by the company and are expected to offer independent and objective judgment. All right. Remember earlier in our class, uh, When we looked at the non-executive directors, yes, from the Cadbury report, right? Also bringing in the audit committee. Okay, the report mandated the formation of an audit committee. Okay, and we saw what the roles of the audit committee are. All right. Yes. So this is basically what, excuse me, the Cadbury report was about. All right. Yes. Any questions? Uh-huh. Report. It's a report, not a code. So it's a report. It's a report. Yes. That's the. They. I've got that answer to that question. I'll show you after the class. But yeah, there are codes. Yes, certain codes in corporate governance, but not. These are the reports here. Okay, we're only looking at reports. Yes. Yeah. They. Okay. Okay. But the theories, yeah, theories. Remember, agency theory, stewardship theory. Mm, okay. Yes, those notes I'll send you. Yes. Uh huh. Okay. Okay. No, but you can still retain some information. This, you can still retain some. The Hampel report. This report updated the Cadbury report. Companies were following Cadbury's rules mechanically just to check boxes without genuinely caring about good governance. So, what this is saying is that companies were just following the rules like robots, okay, just making sure they do everything according to the Cadbury report, but they didn't care about good governance. Okay. Campbell aimed to stop this behavior. Okay. So instead of a long list of strict rules, Campbell encouraged companies to focus on broad principles such as honesty and fairness. The idea that companies which truly understand these principles will govern themselves well without needing a rule for every possible situation. Okay, so basically what it's saying there that with honesty and fairness, you can automatically follow the rules and regulations of a business. Okay. If you're using that principle of honesty and fairness, then automatically you're going to follow the rules and regulations which every company is expected to follow. Okay. All right. So these are the key provisions, principle based approach. The report emphasized following underlying principles of good governance rather than simply adhering to a strict list of rules. All right. So instead of just following strict rules, all right, strict rules which are given to you, instead of just following them, also use honesty and fairness, the principles of good governance. Honesty, fairness, transparency, responsibility. If you use those principles, okay, you would have automatically followed all the rules that are given to your company. Independence of non-executive directors. It reinforced the importance of non-executive directors being truly independent, meaning they must have no personal or financial ties that compromise their objectivity. So yes, these non-executive directors should have no link or relationship with the company. They should be completely independent. Okay? Because if you're a non-executive director, okay, and you find in the company that's where your wife is, you won't be independent. You'll be more biased because your wife is in the board where you're a non-executive director. You might be biased to follow what your wife and her board are saying. Wouldn't we agree to that, colleagues? Or husband, vice versa. Okay, shareholder engagement. The report urged large institutional investors such as pension funds actively exercise their voting rights and engage constructively with companies they own. Okay, yes. The shareholders, remember, these are the ones who appoint the board. So apart from appointing just the board, they also have to form a relationship with the board and they should be able to also engage with the board. Because if you just vote the board and that's where it ends, then that there's no engagement with the shareholders. Okay, the board won't actually even know what the shareholders want. But as the shareholders and the board engage, the board will definitely know what the shareholders want, what they expect, so that they can achieve that. Yes. Any questions? Oh, performance linked pay. It established that executive remuneration should be directly tied to company performance. So if your company is doing well, yes, you can earn a bonus, you can get a raise. Your company is doing bad, yes, then you get fired or you get less money or no bonus. Okay. What you're paid should be linked to how you perform or how the company performs. Yes. Any questions? Yes, if for example you've made profits 4 years straight, you've increased sales, you've expanded the company. I think it does happen, sir. If share prices are rising, especially sir, if they see share prices are rising for the company, you you definitely be entitled to at least a bonus or a raise. Eh? That's why the audit committee is there to make sure that none of that happens. Yes, they have to make sure none of that happens. Okay. And if you remember the UK UK the Anglo thing. Model, yes, Anglo American model, yes. Yeah. Yeah, since the shareholders are the priority and they say that it also emphasizes that my, the pay of the directors should be linked to their performance. Okay? So if you make share prices rise, meaning that you're making the company is doing well. When share prices rise, colleagues, the company is doing well. Okay? You're entitled to a bonus. Okay, or maybe I don't know if the a salary increment. I don't know if that can also be awarded. Okay? Because you made the company perform well. But if you do bad, yes, your pay is based on your remuneration is based on the work you have done. I don't know in Zambia. Obviously there should be some bonuses. What is for if for these board of directors if the company is doing well? I think it happens. It's because it's an incentive to make them even do well. Because if you know as a board, if we do well, we'll be entitled to bonuses. You would definitely want to put in an effort. Okay, you've got the Sarbanes-Oxley Act in 2002. Okay, because of the scandal for Enron and WorldCom. Okay, if you hear the scandals about Enron and WorldCom, it was all about cooking up figures in the financial statements. Okay, as Mr. Kenan Bandan said, you make huge profits, you don't want to report that. You're reporting losses instead. Okay, so these guys were committing fraud, they were stealing money. That's when this act had to be in place. Okay. It was designed to restore public trust in financial markets through mandatory and legal compliance. Oh, colleagues, it's almost 2030. I'm supposed to. There's another quiz for microeconomics which I'm supposed to do. Is it okay if we pause here? I send you these notes. Yes, you can. You don't need. Yes, the ones I would advise you read on. Let me highlight the ones which you can focus on, especially for the exam. These three, the King's Report. So yeah, the King's Report and Greenberry, and then the OECD. Right there. These are the ones you can just read. Yes, OECD. These ones here. These ones I've highlighted in yellow. You can go through them.